Hi everyone, it's Miss Russell. Today we are going to be looking at narrative writing. Do you know what a narrative is? Narrative is another word for story. And stories can be about real people, places, or things that happen. And stories can also be about made up people and things and places, things that are not true or couldn't happen in real life. So today we are going to take a look at a couple of story elements, and we are going to take a look at character, and we're going to look at setting today. The first part of a story usually tells who the story is about, and these are the characters. So the people, animals, or creatures in a story. It also tells us where and when the story happens, or the setting. The characters and setting are both important to what a story is about. So a setting is where and when a story takes place. So today we are going to look back at a book that we've read. And this book was called I Am Renee the Boy. And we're going to think back about the characters in the story and the setting, where the story took place. And I'm going to model this for you today. So I'm going to start here by adding the title of the book. So the title is I Am Renee the Boy. All right, so we've added the title of our book here at the top. The next thing that we're going to add are the characters in this story. There's several characters that we're going to have to add. The first character, the main character, we want to make sure that we have Renee in our story. So let's draw him. I'm going to give him a circle head, a neck and shoulders. There's his body, oval feet. Eyes, nose, mouth. And I'm going to label him here Renee so that you know who my character is. So there's Renee in my story. Also looking at the story, we know that Renee's mom and dad are in the story, or mama and papa. And so we're going to add them as well. They are also characters in this story. So let's add mama and papa. So I'm going to add them next. Here's Papa. We're going to add Mama. I'm going to give her long hair. And I'm going to give her a label so we know who she is. And then there's a couple other story characters in this story, and those characters are characters that we find when Renee is at school. You remember who they are? The teacher in this book is Miss Soraya. So we're going to add her next. Give her long hair, and I'm going to label her Miss Soraya. And the other really important character in this story is the little girl. Do you remember her name? It's Renee, just like the main character, but it's spelled a little differently. And Renee is the main character is a boy. The other Renee in the story is a girl, so we're going to add her next. So let's add the other Renee. Let's give her long hair. And her name's spelled differently. R-E-N-E-E. So we're going to label her as well. So I want you to remember a character is an animal or a person in a story. And in this story, I am Renee the boy. The characters are Renee, his mom and dad, Papa and Mama, his teacher, Miss Soraya, that you'll see at school, and then Renee the girl. She's the other character in this story. So the next thing I want to talk about is setting, where the story happens, where and when. So when I'm thinking about this story, it happens in two different places. I want to show you. So part of the time in this story, you see that Renee is at home with his mom and dad. But then also in other parts of the story, he's at school with Miss Soraya and Renee and the rest of his classmates. So there's two parts to this setting. So what I was thinking is I'm just going to make a line straight down the middle. And on one side, I'm going to make sure I add the setting for Renee's house. So I'm going to write that, Renee's house. And then on the other side, I'm going to make the setting for Renee's school. So I'm going to label that school. I'm going to go back and show you that page of his home. And I want to see if you can help me think of some things I would have in my setting. So let's think, where is this story taking place? We know he's at home. What room does this look like to you? Do you have a room that looks like this in your house? I think it looks like the kitchen. I can see the table where they're having dinner. I see the stove where mom and dad has cooked supper. I see the countertops. So those are some things that I want to add to my setting. So I'm going to add, here's my stove. I'm going to add some cabinets. Some cabinets up here. How about a refrigerator? Probably have one of those in your house. I'm going to add the dining room table because that's where they're sitting in this story. And some chairs. So, in part of this story, they are at Renee's house. So I showed you that by drawing the setting. I drew the kitchen, some things that you might see. Now, in other parts of this story, they're at school. So let's look at some pages here and see if we can think of some things that we need to add for school. Let's take a look. What do you see? What are some things we could add? What about the whiteboard or a smartboard or TV? You may have one of those in your classroom. I'm going to write Renee up there so we know it's a whiteboard. Okay, what are some other things that you might see in your classroom? What about tables where all the friends sit with different things on them like books, pencils, markers. So let's add that. Let's give us some chairs. Are there other things that you might see in a classroom? Maybe a teacher's desk. Maybe we could draw that over here to the side. And I'm going to draw an apple there to show you it's a teacher's desk. There. So those are some other things that we added. So I want you to be thinking, when you are doing your writing today. Think about the characters in the story. In I Am Renee the boy. Who are the people or the animals or the creatures in the story? And I also want you to think about the setting, where the story takes place, where and when the story happens. And you're going to illustrate that as well. And remember, sometimes the story might have more than one setting because part of this story happened at Renee's house and part of it happened at school. So remember, we split the page so that we could show both. So you're going to use these story elements as you write your own narrative stories this year in kindergarten. And we are going to add more to it as the year goes. Bye-bye.